On a frigid night in southeast Ohio, we all got warm by converging on Donato's on East State Street in Athens for the Jim Christian Call-In Show. And it's time to cut it up for you now. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Eisenstein, the voice of the Ohio Bobcats. On Monday night on our radio network, it was the Jim Christian Call-In Show from 7 until 8 o'clock. And we talked about the run in non-conference play when the Bobcats went 10-3. And we talked about the start of attacking the MAC, the first of 18 contests in the run to Cleveland in the Mid-American Conference Tournament comes up on Wednesday night as Ohio battles the Kent State Golden Flashes. Before that, let's cut up the Christian show for you now. 10-3 in non-conference play. We talked about it already, but when you take a look at your non-conference schedule, as you said, it was designed to try to get you as prepared for everything in Mid-American Conference play. Do you think it did that?
I think we did. I think we challenged ourselves both home and away. We played really competitive teams. We played, as I said earlier, teams with play a different bunch of styles. You pressed us. We played some Princeton teams, teams great in the half court, traditional great defensive teams. If you look at it, teams like Ohio State and Northern Iowa, two probably of the premier defensive teams in the country. We played them the first 2 games of the year just to kind of see where we were offensively, what we needed to get better at, what we had against the best. And then obviously later on we played a UMass team who was going to push such a pace. Can we play at that pace with really good teams? So there's a lot of things you take out of it. More than just the preparation, a lot of it was done post-game and looking at our team and seeing how guys react to different situations.
From a basketball standpoint now, what does him being out of the rotation mean for you, and how do you feel that to close that up?
Well, I think it has to be done by committee. I mean, because, we have guys who can fill in. The first line of defense is the other senior who now is starting to play well and has to emerge and become a senior, is TJ Hall. He has to understand the role changes, the dynamic changes, and things that maybe you need to correct in order for our team, because you have a different role now. Providing a spark off the bench and being a consistent starter, you have to approach the game a little differently, and he will. We had a long talk about it today, so obviously it starts with him. It'll also move to Travis. Travis Wilkins will have a bigger role. Guys will just have to be moved around, our 2 inside players, Wadley and Antonio, because of other rotations. We'll have everybody will have to take a little piece of the pie. We don't need one guy to say, okay, I'm the guy, because at the end of the day, that's not how we were, and that's not how we're going to be successful. Rick was a piece to this puzzle. He wasn't, Kobe Bryant. What I mean? He was a great player, but so everybody has to pick up those pieces, the things that he did well. Guys are going to have to pick up, whether it's hustle plays, it's rebounding, it's tenacity on the defensive end of the floor, it's an understanding of offense and creating plays. It's a lot of things, but it's got to be picked up by a lot of guys. You can't throw that on one person.
And we could go down the list, but as a whole, there are so many guys that are branching out for you right now, and that's got to be a part of the reason why you're 10-3.
Well, that I think is a major part of it. A lot of it's because they're getting opportunities to play, and people forget when people graduate, and they're great players, and when they leave, somebody gets a chance to play minutes. You know what I mean? When you're coming off the bench and you're playing 9 minutes, and it's spot time, and you're not going to be able to do what you really can do, I'll see different things in practice. That's why, as coaches, sometimes we're not as worried about players leaving as fans are, because fans aren't there every day. They don't see the things that guys can do, and maybe they don't get an opportunity to do it. And then all of a sudden, this door opens up for them, and they go from playing 9 minutes to 25 minutes. Well, 2 things have to happen. Number one, your game has to evolve. And the second thing that has to happen is, and this is what a guy like Stevie struggles with, is every possession now becomes more important. The grind of each possession, you're not used to it. Mm-hmm. You're not used to it because you didn't play the bulk of those minutes. And that's the biggest adjustment. And that's why when we talk about, well, everybody on our team has a new role, they do. And some of the roles are different because certain guys have to get used to the grind of every possession, the importance of every small little thing in the impact of a game. And you can only do that by learning, by being out there and learning and understanding what it takes mentally and physically, to go from a backup 9-minute-a-game guy to a guy playing 20-plus minutes or another different role.
Your thoughts on your friend Rob Senderoff's ball club?
Well, I mean, a couple things jump right out at you. Number one is their ability to shoot the three. They can really score points in bunches. They can shoot it from 4 spots, so that's always a concern with a great point guard in Chris Brewer. The other thing was talked about earlier today. They have an ability to really stretch the floor and drive you and get you in foul trouble and put you in kind of difficult spots. The thing about this game that's unique is there's nobody tricking anybody out here. They know our system very well, and we know their system very well. And as is the case with all conference teams, but in particular this case, because because we work together, a lot of stuff that we do and philosophies we have are shared. So it's a great challenge. And obviously both games last year came down to the final possession, and it's going to be a challenge this year because they're very, very good at home. And nobody than me knows better how hard it is to win in the Mac Center.
So there you go. We've got you set. We put a bow on the non-conference run, and we got you set for the start of Mid-American Conference play. Our radio network coverage on Wednesday night from the Mac Center in Kent, Ohio starts at 6:30 as Rob Cornelius and I will paint the picture of the Bobcats and the Golden Flashes with the tip at 7 o'clock. That's the Christian Show cut up. For Tony Germain, I'm Russ Eisenstein. This is Bobcat TV.